Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to welcome you back to the afternoon session at 2022 COMPUTEX Forum. So this morning, COMPUTEX Forum has talked about the technology empowerment. So as for the afternoon session, we will be focusing on ESG and application advancements. And now, please welcome Mr. James Huang, Chairman of Taitra, to give us the opening remarks for the ESG session. Welcome.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the ESG session. In 1970, economist Milton Friedman proclaimed that the social responsibility of business is to increase its profits. But at the same time, in Taiwan, a young entrepreneur by the name of Bruce Shan had a very different philosophy. He believed that enterprises should not only make profits, but also take up social responsibility. Mr. Chen believed that while profits are important, companies must also pay close attention to environmental protection and sustainable long-term goals. Mr. Bruce Chen founded Delta Electronics in 1971. Ever since Delta's day one, the company's mission has been to provide cleaner, more innovative and efficient energy solutions for a better tomorrow. Today, Delta is helping its worldwide client base to save over 30 billion kilowatt hours of power every year. The company built its first green building in the Tainan Science Park in 2006. And since 2015, Delta has been leading delegations to attend the United Nations Climate Change Conference. Delta has continued to advance the technology of green buildings, green conservation, and carbon reduction, and is a perfect model of ESG. As of today, Delta has built and donated 2 green data centers, as well as 27 green buildings in Taiwan and around the world. The Magic School of Green Technologies was donated by Delta to the National Cheng Kung University in Tainan, my hometown. The building is listed in the United Nations IPCC report as one of the top 7 energy-saving buildings in the world. Let's take a closer look.
The Yunxuan Sun Green Building Research Center at National Cheng Kung University is the first zero-carbon building in Taiwan. It was constructed 10 years ago and donated by Mr. Bruce Chen, the founder of Delta Group. This year, the latest UN IPCC report recognized it as one of model examples for its remarkable energy-saving performance. The building's passive and active designs, such as stack effect ventilation, renewable energy, sun shading, and wind channeling designs, enable it to be 86% more energy efficient compared to similar buildings. With the recognition, the case has proved to the world that very low energy buildings are achievable in a hot, humid climate. It also brings people practical measures of how to decarbonize a building.
What Delta built here is truly magical. A green campus recognized by the United Nations, right here in my hometown. As a kid from Tainan, for me, the magical school is special. It's more than just a building. It's a beacon of hope. It reminds us that when we put our minds to it, anything is possible. Delta's ESG achievement is not only inspiring, it's also reassuring. It shows that we have the tools, the technology, and the know-how. All we need to do is take action. We have a clear purpose to build a sustainable future. Green pioneers like Delta started on this journey 50 years ago. It's time for us to follow their footsteps Together, let's build greener and better. Last year, Delta celebrated its 50 years of history. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Chief Brand Officer of Delta Electronics, Ms. Shan-Shan, to tell us about Delta's blueprint for the next 50.
Thank you, James, for sharing your insight. Please return back to your seat. And let's welcome Ms. Shan-Shan, Chief Brand Officer of Delta Electronics.
Thank you, James, for the kind introduction and taking us to visit Magic School in your beautiful hometown, Tainan. In fact, this eco-friendly campus is one of the 30 green buildings Delta has built worldwide since the year 2006. Not just in Taiwan, we also have green buildings in China, Europe, India, Japan, Thailand, and of course, the United States. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to share with you at COMPUTEX Forum, Delta's state-of-the-art smart green solutions for a net zero future. For decades, we live in an age of abundance. We thought the resource is plentiful. To increase human well-being, we only need to exploit the nature we think we were entitled to, and to maximize demand, supply, and production. Another aspect of this access is climate change. Unlimited, uncontrolled burning of fossil fuel created a looming climate catastrophe. Lately, weather becomes so unpredictable everywhere. To avoid disaster, we need a resilient society that is sensitive to environment. Resources of the environment may not be as abundant as we naively expected. Now the prices of basic commodities, such as oil and food, are all rising at the same time. Cost of living is skyrocketing. After staying low for 30 years, inflation is kicking up. Supply chain is under stress. We seem entering an age of shortage economy. It is time for us to be discreet when we use our treasured resources. We need to live smart. The founder of Delta, Mr. Bruce Chen, was foreseeing this, and he advocated a more modest attitude toward nature. Ever since its founding over 50 years ago, Delta focused on sustainability. In the early 1970s, when the world suffered from energy crisis similar to what we're experiencing today, Mr. Chen had the vision that energy efficiency is one of the most effective solutions to reduce pollution. From the beginning, the products of our company are designed to be efficient and save resource. Hence, Delta has a mission to provide innovative, clean, and energy-efficient solutions for a better tomorrow. Since then, Delta has devoted over 8% of our revenue into R&D and innovation every year. It boosts our core competence in high-efficiency power electronics and delivers superior products and solutions. Now Delta can offer server power supply with the efficiency over 96%, as well as solar PV inverters and telecom power rectifiers with efficiency as high as 99.2% and 98%, respectively. With the dedication, Delta's ESG is recognized by world-class assessment institutions. We have been part of the DJSI World Index for the past 11 consecutive years and the best ESG performer in its industry for the past 4 years in a row. Another prominent ESG indicator, CDP, the Carbon Disclosure Project, last year recognized Delta with an A score. For years, the United Nations organized COP, Climate Change Conference. Delta attended COP continuously since 2007. Our team participated in COP about the world's climate initiatives and also share experience and contribute practical energy-efficient solutions. In year 2015, during COP21 at Paris, we organized a green building exhibition to highlight to the global audience the substantial benefits of green buildings. We were also invited by the German government to their official site event to share Delta green building solutions. COP21 is not the only ESG commitment we participated in year 2015. For example, collaborating with We Mean Business, Delta joined the Science-Based Target Initiative to set up climate goals by scientific methods. In 2018, we signed into the EV100 initiative to foster electric vehicle. Last year, Delta made a commitment to the RE100, which entails the utilization of renewable electricity in 100% of Delta's global operations by year 2030. We even went beyond that. We promised to also reach carbon neutrality by that year as well. The 2030 deadline is way ahead of 2050, selected by most technology companies across the world. Every year, we implement dozens of energy conservation plans in our factories and buildings, using Delta's own products and solutions. Delta also joined the Business Ambition for 1.5 degree initiative in 2021, which echoes the UN Race to Zero target for 2050. In addition to reducing our own emission, Delta also calibrates its core business for a net zero goal. We're developing smart green solutions for sustainable cities. These solutions aim at lowering carbon emission in three most energy-intensive segments. They are energy infrastructure, transportation, and building. Let me start with infrastructure. The World Economic Forum estimated that developed countries could achieve net zero carbon level by 2050 if they adopt substantial renewable energy. Renewables will work only if energy storage and smart grid are leveraged to make demand flexible, increase grid resilience, and allow greater use of renewable energy. This so-called smart energy ecosystem is not only critical for the climate target, but also essential to enhance energy resilience, especially for those areas prone to unpredictable natural disasters. Delta has built a set of comprehensive one-stop solutions to create smart microgrids. It centers on our Delta Grid energy management platform and includes inverters for renewable energy, power conditioning of bidirectional conversion, and megawatt-hour level energy storage containers. Together, they build energy infrastructures powerful while flexible and resilient. As an example, in 2020, we deployed a 1 megawatt-hour energy storage system in Kinmen Island for Taipower, Taiwan's main utility company. Before, the standalone island suffered frequent power blackouts from instability due to its small size and lack of buffer. The fast charging and discharging capability of Delta's energy storage system helps maintain the stability of Kingman's power grid. In fact, our system has supported the grid over 61 times since installation, and the island has suffered 0 blackout for the entire year. Next, transportation. Transportation is intrinsic to modern life. We all notice that e-mobility is transforming transportation in one of the most biggest revolutions ever seen. Now, most countries around the world are planning targets to have only electric vehicles sold to the market in the near future. According to IEA, to reach the 1.5-degree target, EV must account for more than 60% of the new car sales by year 2030. This requires a vast installation of EV charging infrastructure around the world. IEA also estimates that by year 2030, the number of public charging points must reach 65 million. At Delta, we constantly analyze future megatrends and invest our R&D resources so that we can expand our leadership position in the underlying technologies. Right during the 2008 financial crisis, we actually increased our R&D investment and allocated a significant portion into developing EV powertrains in close collaboration with some of the world's largest car makers. By year 2012, Delta had become a Tier 1 provider of onboard power electronics, integrated e-drive system, components and modules, and the thermal solutions. Today, we're proud to say that Delta has successfully penetrated into 70% of the world's 20 leading car manufacturers. To meet the surging demand of EV charging, we have the most versatile portfolio in the EV charging segment, with ultra-fast EV chargers to up to 350 kilowatt DC capacity, AC charger for residential use, and site management system. An example of our expertise is the V2x Ev Chargers. V2x means vehicle to everything. That is, our chargers can redirect the electricity stored in an EV battery to power buildings or even the electricity grid. This is revolutionary because it can leverage the energy stored in EV batteries to share electricity on demand and balance the energy resources. If implemented on a large scale, it can significantly increase the resilience of our power grids. Finally, buildings. Buildings physically exist in the cities. No surprise they account for over 1/3 of the world's CO2 emissions. Countries around the world started to look at building improvements to achieve net zero. Taiwan set a goal for all new public buildings to reach nearly zero carbon by 2030. By 2050, 100% of all new buildings and 85% of existing ones to become nearly zero carbon. This is an area Delta has extensive experience to share. Since 2006, we've built around the world over 30 green buildings, including our factories, offices, and our sponsored projects. Some of them are existing buildings installed with Delta Smart Green Solutions. They achieved over 50% of annual energy saving and the ROI payback in just 3 to 4 years for many cases. Energy efficiency in buildings is just one part of the equation. Health, is just as important, especially in the post-pandemic era. This is why our building solutions also put strong emphasis on the well concept. For the well of buildings, Delta developed a whole range of tools and technologies. Delta leverages IoT technologies to develop well building platforms capable of sensing, control, and managing various building conditions. It then integrates lighting, indoor air quality, and surveillance to enhance energy efficiency and comfort. These solutions form a consistent set aiming to transform buildings into eco-friendly and healthy environments. They could be applied to healthcare centers, commercial buildings, or even airports. I wondered myself before how all these smart building automation solutions can really work. One day, just 2 weeks ago, I was working in a smart meeting room at Delta headquarters. Yes, that's me. I walked in, I sat down, started to do my work without touching a button, as we all hate to touch anything more than needed during COVID. The lighting, the air conditioning, the filtering systems are all on. As I remained motionless for a couple of minutes while reading material from my computer, guess what happened? The LED lights went off as the system perceived no one is in the meeting room. So then I look up. The lights automatically return to normal, just like that. Yes, it's working. Our showcase theme at this year's COMPUTEX conveys these concepts as we demonstrate a zero-carbon community featuring our IoT-based smart green solutions for buildings, e-mobility, and infrastructure. With today's booth tool, you can have a vivid experience of how Delta's next-generation technologies are returning the elements, contributing and nourishing the elements of a net-zero future. Yes, This is Delta booth at COMPUTEX this year. Although net zero may sound distant, Delta has already proven it is feasible. Back in year 2009, a typhoon destroyed an elementary school in southern Taiwan. Delta sponsored the construction of a campus of the new Mingquan Elementary School in Namaxia, Kaohsiung. At the same time, Delta's smart green solutions are deployed in the new building. Recently, it is certified by LEED as the first net zero campus in Asia. The campus goes on to serve as a shelter to protect the local community against natural disasters. After the celebration of Delta's 50th anniversary last year, in 2022, we're now looking forward to the next 50 years. From the above presentation, it is clear Delta has moved from an efficient component manufacturer to a solution provider. Our products and solutions are now closer to users in buildings, in cars, or in the cities. We are serving people more directly. We're transforming from a pure industrial brand to include commercial brand. This year, we designed a new corporate identity to reflect our sustainability vision and the new transformation. I'm very pleased to share with you here. This new CI features 3 major color elements. Delta Blue represents Delta's core competence in energy efficiency. Delta Aqua Blue symbolizes our IoT ingenuity, and Delta Grass Green signifies our ultimate goal of sustainability. The progression bar embodies the underlying drive of Delta's evolution and progress in technology and business, especially from an industrial brand into a commercial brand. The energy loop manifests our vision of sustainability. The following video illustrates our new corporate identity even further. Please take a look. As underscored in the video, this is the motto of our new corporate identity: unceasing innovation for a better living. I certainly hope Delta's innovative solutions can help all of us to live smart. My deepest gratitude to the organizers of COMPUTEX for allowing me to convey our vision and showcase to you all today. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Guo, for the inspiring speech. Please return back to your seats. Next, we are very honored to invite Mr. Shen Ye, Head of Products at HTC. Mr. Ye joined HTC in 2015 as the first European hire for the secret internal VR project, which turned into the original HTC Vive. He will talk about the XR's place in the metaverse and how hardware and software must evolve. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Shen Ye.
Let me take off my mask. So, hi everyone, I am Shen. I look after products at HTC. It's actually a true pleasure for me to be here at COMPUTEX 2022. So, as introduced, I'm going to talk about XRs and its place when it comes to the metaverse. So let's start off, whoa, that's not what I wanted. So let's start off with metaverse as a whole, right? It's the hot word in the media. At HTC, we actually agree it's a little bit overstated. So, because we've actually always been in a metaverse of some sort. It's made up of different components, but it's always existed, right? When you use your smartphones, the web, streaming, online gaming, those are part of the metaverse, always have been. So our strategy has always been to dream bigger than just ourselves. We want to open up platforms created by the people, owned by the people, and shared by the people. So we call this Viveverse, which is our place in the metaverse, an immersive, boundless universe of fantastic new experiences, and other universes in collaboration with our partners. But to access it, we need to talk about human interfaces. And today, specifically, I'll talk about XR. And I'll go through some of how we see the XR market. So at HTC, we have we see three main tiers when it comes to VR technology. You have PC VR, all-in-one VR, or AIO, and also a new thing that we've been looking at called Immersive Glasses. Let's start off with PC VR. Right? PC VR is for the people that want the most when it comes to performance. So we'll take a look at how it's being used. Right? So here we have Bugatti. Right? They want the highest of graphical fidelities. Right? Bugatti and countless automotive OEMs have been evolving their design processes. Being able to create and alter designs in a virtual studio right in front of them. The level of detail that they require. They have to see every single component, how they fit, how they look under different lighting conditions, down to the stitching on the individual leather seats. That's how detailed they're looking for. That's how much detail they're looking for. So no longer do they need to build those traditional, but both time and monetarily expensive clay models just to view a concept in life size. They can now do it in real time on a virtual life-size model right in front of them. This has led to them being able to accelerate their development quite significantly. One of our most successful customers when using VR to accelerate design and product development has been Bell Helicopters. So Bell Helicopters, they were starting to concept a new revolutionary helicopter design, the FCX-001. They had expected their normal development time of around 5 to 7 years. This is down to how they iterate on their designs with a new architecture, fabricate new prototypes, test, get feedback from pilots, engineers, and then repeat that until it's good enough. With VR, they were able to tweak things like in real time with responses from engineers and pilots straight there. Maybe you want to move a part of the chassis so it removes a blind spot. This sped up their development time from that 5 to 7 years all the way down to 6 months. Let's move on to the AIO category, where all of that processing power is embedded right inside the headset, so it can work standalone, without the need for external computing or power sources. While leveraging mobile computing technologies, there are huge benefits when it comes to ease of use and portability. Aside from being very accessible for more consumers when it comes to gaming, it's also started being integrated into professional training and onboarding processes as well. Here's a health and safety training scenario with Out Here and the global construction company Skanska. It's a real training demo that was designed for our Vive Focus 3. Used to teach people to be more aware of their surroundings on a live building site, as well as training on actual tasks as well. It's a great solution because otherwise Skanska would either have to build a new dedicated training center and have people travel there, or they have to do on-the-job training, which means putting unqualified people in a real building site to learn, and obviously that can be very dangerous. But people aren't just beginning to be exposed to XR hardware at work. We're seeing them in location-based entertainment, or LBE, as well. LBEs are an industry term that covers VR arcades. All-in-one headsets have eliminated that need for the backpack PC and are able to provide an incredible out-of-home experience. While at home, VR content is generally interacted with motion controllers. In these bespoke arcade setups, you'll encounter these incredibly immersive accessories that look and feel exactly like their VR counterparts in rooms that are bigger than what you'll ever find in a home. And now let's look at immersive glasses. Just 6 months ago, we launched the Vive Flow, a new type of device category we coined immersive glasses. While similar to AIOs, the design was heavily weighted towards form factor, weight, and portability. At 189 grams, it's lighter than the phones that are in most people's pockets. Oh. So, with its foldable design, it can fit in a bag without taking up too much space. So compared to traditional headsets that would take up the majority of your backpack space, this is the perfect companion. And it's the perfect companion for using on the go. And yeah, that's me. It's become a must-have for me on long flights. I have my own private 200-inch theater screen where I can watch any content that I can watch on my phone. Not only did we design Flow to be portable, but we also designed it to be incredibly power efficient, which means that it's so power efficient that we can just plug it straight into the USB port on a plane, and it will run indefinitely for the entire flight time. And the ease of use has also made it a great device in mental well-being and therapy as well. MindVR is one of our partners using immersive glasses for rehabilitation and helping seniors overcome isolation and allowing family members across the globe to share real-time virtual reality experiences together, especially important during a pandemic. So that's a very quick overview of the various ways these different types of VR devices are used to bring people into the metaverse. And we see them living harmoniously with each other across that spectrum. To use an analogy that's very suited for COMPUTEX, we can compare it to personal computing. If you look at the best if you're looking for the best performance, when it comes to personal computing, you're going to get the desktop. That's the same reason consumers buy dedicated PC VR headsets. If you're looking for the ultimate portability over features, that's of course the tablet. And convenience and easy to carry is the key to that design. And of course, in the middle is the laptop. There, each one is finely tuned. It's a very fine-tuned balance between features, performance, and portability. And that balancing act, when creating XR we will have it when creating XR headsets as well. We'll see those huge headsets, that make you look like a hammerhead shark. But at a certain point, if you want a higher resolution or higher field of view, you need a bigger panel, and thus a bigger headset. While we constantly innovate on new optical designs and working with partners on even more pixel-dense displays and even new optics, those limitations are still there when looking across a single generation of devices. Not to mention, higher resolution would also require more powerful components, which will require more thermal cooling and an accompanying power source. But that's enough for the hardware. I want to talk about something a little bit more interesting, which is about the system technologies powering them. To make any decent XR device, there are two very important technologies out of a lot of them: tracking and graphics performance. Let's start with tracking. The most common VR devices on the market are sold as a headset with two motion controllers. Getting both to accurately track is needed to avoid users getting nauseous. Beat Saber isn't just one of the most popular VR games, but it's actually one of the most demanding when it comes to tracking. If the accuracy is just slightly off, or that latency is just a few tenths of a millisecond off, a user can easily miss the beat that they're intending to hit. It's why it's one of the experiences that we use internally when testing our own tracking. And yeah, that's me again. All of the testing basically got me into 6th place on the Beat Saber worldwide leaderboards. A headset and 2 controllers only tracks my hands and my head. But for the vision of the metaverse, what about tracking the rest of the body? Well, we need to have more tracking points. By strapping additional Vive trackers onto the hip and also the feet, you can actually use these 6 tracking points, including your headset and controllers, and what's called inverse kinematics, to capture a full body's movement of someone actually quite well. This one isn't me. It's a dancer called Makoto. He's part of an online community called the IDA, an International Dance Association. They're quite amazing. So I want to go into a little bit. They're a dance community that's specifically in VR. During the pandemic, there was a huge influx of dancers in VR, looking to express their art in a new medium. It's genuinely amazing to see how they're able to bring together amateur dancers and teachers, and then also invite professional dancers for support and encouragement. So with additional trackers, we can quite accurately track the limbs, but what about finer motor movements? What about our hands? Using hands in VR is something that's incredibly natural. We're all very familiar with using our hands. Hand tracking has come a long way in the past few years, but it still has some way to go. One of the biggest challenges with hand tracking is just that everyone's hand sizes, their shape, and proportions are different. We have to take each camera frame, process it, figure out where the 26 tracking points are based on that image, translate that into a virtual visual representation, all within milliseconds. Oh, and also, if you want to make sure all of that you also have to make sure that tracking is extremely power efficient as well, and computationally very light, so you don't cause performance issues with the VR content itself. Earlier this year, we showed just how reliable hand tracking can be done. With our wrist trackers, we can really enhance hand tracking to the point where they can occlude one another. So for an avatar in the metaverse, we now have the body, the hand. We're still missing a crucial part, the face. The gold standard when it comes to photorealistic high-fidelity avatars right now is Unreal Engine's Metahuman. It's the same avatar technology used in the Matrix Resurrection Unreal Engine 5 demo. And it was used to create a digital version of Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss that looked incredibly realistic. Research shows that there's a noticeable increase in engagement and that feeling of trust when you're interacting with someone in VR who has realistic facial expressions, eye contact, and body language. We already have headsets with eye tracking and facial tracking. Here's a demo of Vive Pro Eye with our facial tracker, hooked up to a Metahuman avatar. The lower face tracking alone accurately tracks 38 different blend shapes across your cheeks, chin, jaw, lip, teeth, and your tongue. And if you pair that with the eye tracking, your avatar quite reliably conveys your real facial body language. And that includes the one time a colleague caught me rolling my eyes in a virtual meeting. We'll soon release the blueprints to integrate our face tracking technology with Metahuman. But we're all about choice. You can have your avatar be super realistic if you really want to through Metahuman. But we also support VRM avatars. Those are an open standard when it comes to avatars in VR, where you can create anything you like and take it with you across a variety of content seamlessly to better represent yourself. So that was tracking. Let's talk about graphics, right? That's incredibly important when it comes to XR. And XR, VR in particular, has a really high bar when it comes to graphics performance. High resolution and high sampling are needed for a really high fidelity experience, but we also need low latency and high refresh rate so users don't get sick. These are similar to normal gaming, but VR has one key requirement that normal gaming doesn't have. Don't drop frames, or the user's going to feel very nauseous very quickly. I mentioned earlier PC VR for those that want the best visuals, but how different is it from an all-in-one? So let's take this high-end gaming PC as an example, and which of course requires some RGB so that it can really maximize that performance. Depending on the specs, but a high-end PC could use over 800 watts over full load. Now, compare that to the 10-watt TDP of a Qualcomm XR2 chip that you can find in the current generation of all-in-one headsets. It's really miles apart. Let's take a look at the scene from Museum of Other Realities, a PC VR-only VR content. The crazy number of particles, the size of the scene, the lighting, this piece of art would be almost impossible to experience well on current all-in-one VR headsets. So how do we bridge that gap? Let's look at the scene. So the way we're going to do it is through VR streaming, right? So remote rendering, or PCVR streaming, has brought the ability to run PCVR content on all-in-one headsets. But it's not just as simple as a video stream being sent to the headset. It's actually rather complex. Special technologies are needed for video encoding, that decoding process to maintain a low latency. Reprojection techniques are needed to hide latency from that entire process, plus the transmission time. As I mentioned, the current techniques are basically running a PC VR content and sending it to the headset. So what's next? We're also working on something that's a combination of PC VR streaming and local rendering on the headset. And that's called split rendering. Let's take this scene as an example, also from Museum of Other Realities. A lot of environments, a lot of the environment here isn't actually too difficult for the mobile processor in an all-in-one to render. But the artwork, on the other hand, would be a challenge to render in high fidelity. So with split rendering, we can split these two parts into to be rendered in two different places. With some fancy magic, we can basically combine them locally seamlessly, with the surroundings and the adjacent avatars rendered locally, so they aren't as susceptible to the added latency of cloud computing. This allows for an optimal use of computing resources, especially as GPU computing in the cloud becomes more and more accessible. This will even be more important for augmented reality. So with AR, that vision, mind the pun, is having something that resembles today's glasses. That means minimizing computing power and battery on said device. So some 3D virtual objects will be pretty reliant on split rendering. And of course, to deliver that, we also have to talk about infrastructure. And let's start with connectivity. We now have some really incredibly high-speed wireless connectivity technology there that's available for consumers to use. And they've been able to deliver great VR experiences as well. Vive Focus 3 is, and as far as I know, the only VR headset that supports Wi-Fi 6E, allowing our users to really take advantage of the expanded clean spectrum to deliver high-quality experiences. With 5G, the technology is shipping out to more and more users, being able to deliver not only higher speeds, lower latency, but also higher user capacity while achieving the first two mentioned features. We consider it so important that we spun off our 5G team into its own business unit called G-Rains. G-Rains specialize in the software and infrastructure optimizations for private 5G networks. The team recently launched Raincore. It's a complete hardware solution, hardware and software solution for deploying 5G. That's the size of a medium suitcase. You can basically check it onto a plane. We work with SI partners on the hardware side. We didn't build that ourselves. And building upon 5G open standards, that's how we were able to deliver such a solution. We demoed it at MWC and CES this year, both times running multiple VR users with content being delivered, rendered on a remote server. And last year, we deployed a private 5G network in our Viveland VR arcade in Kaohsiung. To deliver good VR experiences to wider audiences, higher quality connectivity and infrastructure is key. So XR has huge momentum. It's enabling so many different experiences, and so many industries are benefiting from it. But for that momentum to keep going and for XR to fully enter the mainstream, hardware and software need to keep evolving together. We've been aware of that since day one. We made strategic investments across various business units. Our Vive Arts team helped the Louvre to put on their first ever VR exhibition, giving a unique up-and-close look at Da Vinci's Mona Lisa. And our ViveX incubator has invested over $100 million in the last 6 years, including a company called Immersive, who earlier this year worked with Orange to unveil one of the most detailed experiences of the Notre Dame. Elsewhere, our Viveport team continues to create one of the world's best hardware-agnostic experiences. A platform which has thousands of pieces of content from developers all over the world, and which any headset can access via a PC. Bringing all of these hardware, software, and service elements together is what we see as being critical to the future of XR in the metaverse. All of this experience has kind of driven us to create Viveverse, a rapidly evolving experience where people can socialize, work, and have fun. But most importantly, it's built around the ideas of openness and collaboration. As I said at the start, XR in the metaverse is far bigger than any single platform or technology. And all of us have a responsibility to ensure it's for the people and by the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ye, for the comprehensive presentation. Please kindly return back to your seats. Next, we are very honored to invite Mr. Hong Wu, General Manager of IBM Consulting, IBM Taiwan, to talk about virtual enterprise destination of digital transformation journey. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Hong Wu.
Good afternoon, every professional from your industry. It's my great honor to be with you today. My name is Hong Wu from IBM Taiwan. And today, I would like to occupy your half an hour to take you to the destination of the digital transformation. In IBM, we call it the virtual enterprise. So I'm running IBM Consulting in Taiwan with over 650 consultants dealing with all kinds of problems and helping our clients doing transformation in various industries. The experience gives me the credit to share with you what we have learned, what we have observed, and our point of view. So, as you know, the pandemic has changed the world's digital transformation, and actually, it has accelerated a lot. Let me start with give you the business context of the current business environment. Long before the pandemic, there was the G2 trade war. The G2 tension already created business difficulty for our companies, for our clients. And since and after the pandemic outbreak, the demand becomes so volatile. It's up and down almost every month. And even worse, the supply chain has been totally disrupted. And because of the Ukraine war, we are also facing very severe shortage on the raw material. It's not only on the chip maker, on the semiconductor chips. It is also the tool and the machine that for the chip fabrication. Also the raw material in all many other industries. And even worse, we are facing the greatest talent shortage around the world. And here in Taiwan, we are probably the most severe in the whole country. And all it put together result in the global inflation. In the US, in April, it has encountered the greatest inflation in the past 40 years. The inflation increased by 8.3% in April. It is also the case in UK. And now we are about to embrace the post-COVID new norm. We decided to adapt to live with the virus. So that creates the current business context. So in your right-hand side, you can see from the value chain, it is also totally disrupted by the current pandemic. In the upside, you see the primary activity in the value chain. In inbound logistics and outbound logistics, it has shifted from the just-in-time for inventory optimization to building inventory everywhere, stockpile the inventory along the supply chain. And also for the environmental issue, ESG issue, the company has to look at the green supply chain or green logistics. In operation, it also changed from previously market-driven demand, poor mode of the operation production, to supply demand, supply-driven side of the production. And the company, we have been promoted for the global and integrated enterprise, which to optimize and centralize the operation in a single location for the cost efficiency, has been changed to operate diverse all around different market, different location because of the dual sourcing or the trade tax issues. And also in the marketing and sales area, since everything becomes in the virtual world, we cannot travel very easily. So for the client engagement, customer engagement, marketing, all to the digital world. Of course, we are still focusing on the O2O integration, O2O omni-channel experience. But digital channel become the primary and dominate all the activities. And also the company are seeking to collaborate with their ecosystem and to provide a better service to the clients. And the sales, now all the companies are trying to provide no-touch service with all lots of robot and automation process. And this disruption is not only on the primary activities, but also happen in the support activity. For procurement, it is changed from the buyer's market to seller's market. Last month, my big boss in the global hosted a meeting. He invited our chief procurement office, IBM's chief procurement officer, came to share with us. He told me that nowadays, almost every suppliers is coming to him and ask for more price, to increase the price, increase the rate card. He has never seen this kind of situation in his over 30 years career. And technology become very important and critical important instead of just a cost-saving enabler. In human resources, as we mentioned, that since we are not easy to hunt the talent from the market, so the company invests a lot on the employees, especially those tools to bring better experience for our employees, because they finally realize that there's no customer experience without employee experience. At the end, the bottom line is the infrastructure, as you can imagine, from the brick and mortar change to the virtual world. So that's why, at this moment, the whole digital transformation are happening in the virtual area. And now let me introduce you the virtual enterprise. Why we call it the virtual enterprise as the destination of the digital transformation. Over the past few years, companies around the world doing the digital transformation, and we have observed that the digital transformation have changed from the edge or the front of the organization to the core, deeply to the core business. We call it digital to the core. And technologies such as AI, blockchain, automation, IoT, and 5G has reached a level of maturity that can be leveraged at scale and drive positive impact to the business outcome. And because of COVID, everything we are forced to transform in the virtual world. And that's why the emergence of the virtual enterprise. So here, let me share with you the 6 building blocks of the virtual enterprise. First, it starts with a market-making platform. Why we call it the market-making ecosystem and platform? The strategic idea for the virtual enterprise is the combination of the platform thinking and the concept of the ecosystem. Every company trying to bring and to collaborate with the ecosystem partner to bring much more and better service to our clients. So it is the centerpiece and the most important for the virtual enterprise. Second, the science and data is the foundation of the virtual enterprise. Nowadays, as you can imagine, since the supply chain is under turbulence, the visibility of the supply chain becomes critically important. And the key to provide the visibility is actually the real-time and high-quality data. We can easily collect all kinds of data through all kinds of channels and technology. However, how to leverage it to mine all those data into gold is the most important and foundation for the virtual enterprise. And third, the extended workflow, extended intelligence workflow. When we are talking on the workflow, everything needs to be automatic because now everything happens in the virtual world. So all the orders, client engagement coming, client application coming, how we can operate, can automate all the process, not within the organization, but also extend our workflow, partner with our ecosystem, our supplier, our customer, make the end-to-end automation is what we call it the extended workflow. And fourth, it is the rising and emergence of the social environment and governance topic. So the sustainability become strategic important and strategic focus for all the enterprise. As I mentioned, not only the green supply chain, but how we can help our client, our global, and to make a better planet for the next generation is become very important for the virtual enterprise. And the fifth is the cloud infrastructure. Fifth is the human resources. As we mentioned that it's not easy to hunt the talent from the market. So how we can create the digital workforce, just like Delta showed in the previous session, lots of digital and tools and support to help our client can engage in the virtual world and also bring the customer, bring the employee engagement with warm touch. That is also very important for the virtual enterprise. And last is our open hybrid cloud infrastructure. Everything moving to the virtual world, not only for the office, but also for our data center. It becoming hybrid cloud model. So IBM truly believe AI and hybrid cloud is the key for the virtual enterprise. So instead of going to each item, and I would like to share with you IBM's own story on how we transform ourselves, how we adapt the virtual enterprise concept and doing our digital transformation. As you can see on the screen, we have reached a great result by leveraging the virtual enterprise. First, let's start with the market-making platform and ecosystem. Since our new CEO, Arvind Krishna, took over 2 years ago, we embraced the ecosystem. We opened the partnership with all the strategic platform and also strategic partnership. In your left-hand side, this is the IBM platform approach that every time, every quarter, we share with our Wall Street analysts when we have our financial report calls. So the blue box means IBM's unit. At this moment, we have IBM Consulting, IBM Software, and IBM Infrastructure. These are our major 3 business units and also show in our financial report. IBM Consulting, which is my department, accounts for 1/3 of our business. And we collaborate with our ecosystem partners such as SAP, Salesforce, Adobe, and even AWS, Microsoft, Google, Workday. to help to bring their technology to our client side and provide a better and more comprehensive service to our customer. The second part, the middle part, is IBM software together with Red Hat. Also, that co-work with probably my competitor, like a local system integrator or global SI like Accenture, like Big Four, for the total solution to their client, the customers. And the last part, IBM infrastructure, many our IBM's hardware, storage, mainframe, is also working with our ecosystem. And you can even see in the gray box there, there's also mentioned even the AWS and Microsoft Azure were on there in every financial report to the Wall Street. So that means that we already changed from previously, IBM do everything by ourselves, but now we collaborate with our ecosystem to provide a full set of a portfolio and service to our customers. And the right-hand side is the latest news, which just happened probably 3 days ago. We announced a strategic partnership with AWS. Now you can easily select all IBM software on AWS Marketplace. So the result is, at this moment, like the first quarter, we just announced the best, probably one of the best quarter result in the past decade. And we eliminate almost 100% of a manual paper because we also deploy our partner solution, such as Salesforce for our CRM. At this moment, all the business review, we only look at Salesforce data. There's no more Excel report in all the business review and meetings. Second, science and data lake innovation. In IBM, we got tons of data across all regions, all business. So an open platform for data means including the data highway and data fabric is the next generation of the data platform. We leverage OpenShift technology and build a data middle layer platform, provide daily and real-time business insight for our daily decision. And thus, you can see the benefit is we reduce from hours to seconds for all kinds of data query, for all kinds of information needed. And also we save almost 90% data manufacturing and data costs by this data platform. And third is the extended intelligent workflow. Here in IBM, we embedded AI in almost every process. For example, like at this moment, I have a chatbot to serve me every day. Using the machine learning technology and also chatbot conversation technology. Every time when I have query, like COVID, 3 weeks ago, I committed COVID. So I asked my chatbot, what can I be insured? What kind of foreign action I need to take? And also that if I would like to explore and find out any employee's more profile and information, I can also easily ask the bot. He can provide comprehensive information to me. So all kinds of process, from the sales all the way down to the HR process, has been embedded AI. And we also extended the business automation with our ecosystem partner. For example, every month we exchange our business opportunity with our ecosystem player, such as Salesforce, Microsoft, AWS. Everything on the system, we share the same data, the same visibility. And we found that it is much easier for our collaboration. And the fourth is the sustainability and the impact. As you know that most of our asset is the talents and also our office building. Our CEO already announced that we target to reach the net zero by 2030 without purchasing any carbon offset from other energies. And this is 20 years ahead of the Paris Accords. And in addition to that, because nowadays, the ESG, especially the carbon calculation, carbon accounting become more and more important to our customers. We are helping our customers to implement the technology to help them collect real-time information, real-time data, and analyze where we can save and reduce the carbon emission by such as the prevent maintenance for our tool or adjust the temperature for all kinds of business, all kinds of office building. So in this state, sustainability is not only a cost activity, but actually it can become a strategic move because you can attract more customers to making business with you, and we believe that you can also attract better talent to work for you. And the fifth is the inclusive human technology partnership. In IBM, as nowadays, all the conference, all the meeting are happening in the virtual world. So we have to provide different kinds of tools to help our employees with better efficiency and also better experience while they are working from home. Or most of the time, they still have to work in our client area. So in this topic, the virtual tool, also the digital whiteboard to populate, to promote the brainstorming workshop in the virtual world is also very important. And not only that, we also need to focus on how to bring and also attention and pay special attention on employee engagement, because people cannot see each other frequently. So these tools, technology, can help us bring the warm temperature to our employee, and that is the workplace and digital workforce transformation in the virtual enterprise. And last is the secure hybrid cloud infrastructure. This picture is IBM's CIO's portfolio. As you can see, that he is managing all kinds of applications, more than 1 million applications around the world. We have been trying and also able to consolidate all the data center into a few data centers and move it to the hybrid cloud environment. And for the business application part, not only using like a state-of-the-art technology for CI, we are also migrating and finish the migration for our ERP system, moving to the S4, SAP S4HANA on the private cloud edition. It probably is the global largest SAP user in the world. And for our employees, we are not only helping our client adapting the SaaS technology such as Workday, but we also as the biggest Workday user in the world. And for the cloud infrastructure, we believe that microservice container architecture, which is the modern part of the state-of-the-art technology, is the key to the future. So not only in IBM, we are helping all our customers to modernize their core system. When we mention core system, in banks, that's core banking system. In the telecom industry, that probably is a billing system. Like in the transportation area, it is ticket and booking system. So all kinds of core systems have been in all different clients in different industries being modernized, and which we are helping our customers doing that. That is in the hybrid cloud infrastructure. So as a result, greatly save not only our IT costs, IT spending, but also reduce our energy consumption. At the end, for our customer doing the digital transformation, we highly encourage all our customers to think about the following 6 actions to build the virtual enterprise. First, start to embrace your ecosystem. Put your ecosystem and partnership as a heart of your strategy. By able to collaborate very well with your ecosystem partner, you can find out that you have a great potential for the revenue growth, but also for better customer services. Second is innovate. Innovate through the data and AI. Data and AI is now the oxygen for the business and daily decision making. So you have to invest and also specific focus on the data platform. And in fact, that is probably the hottest demand in my consulting area. In the past 2 years, our data team business has tripled in Taiwan. And because of every industry and clients, they are looking for the next generation of a data platform. And third is extend. Extend your workflow with your customer by using automation, IoT, or its potential technology. And fourth is to solve. So all the business, all the sustainability, and also environment issue, we have to really face it and be responsible to how to reduce not only our carbon emission, but also help our clients, help our supplier to also work on that part. And fifth is empower. How we can empower our talents in such a talent world situation, empower talent and make our talents feel proud of working in your environment and enjoy working every day is the most important for our virtual enterprise. And the last is to accelerate. Accelerate all the business impact through hybrid cloud technology in the virtual world. That is the key and the next generation of the IT application. And that is also what we are doing every day for our customer. So with that, this is what we call the virtual enterprise. At this moment, we are facing the greatest demand from our clients for digital transformation. And we call it the golden decade for consulting business. It is not only in IBM, it is also happening in all other consulting firms. Most of our consulting having a double-digit growth every quarter. So does IBM. In Taiwan, I've grown my consulting people by over 60% in the past 3 years. And we foresee that by end of this year, we probably will reach to 800 people. And with the greatest talent here, and also the greatest customer in a different industry, I believe that IBM Consulting will be your best partner along your digital transformation journey. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Wu, for the informative presentation. Please return back to your seats. And next, we are very honored to have Mr. Samuel Xu, Senior Manager of Dassault Systèmes, to talk about digital twin, Metaverse of product development. So this session will focus on how to leverage digital twin technology, the Metaverse of product development, to empower enterprise digital transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Samuel Xu.
Hello, everyone. There are some sections already talk about Metaverse. So I think that everyone are quite expecting the Metaverse. Metaverse will enrich the way of communication in social media and other cyber activity. So you can put on your VR, AR device, and then you could chat, play, do exercise, shopping with your friends in the 3D world. But I believe it still needs years to make the technology mature. So today, I want to talk about the digital twin. It's a metaverse of product development, which is adopted in the industry. Okay, so Dassault Systèmes rolled out our first software called CATIA in 1981. It's a purely 3D CAD solution in the beginning. At the time, the mainstream CAD solution are only 2D. So 3D is at the heart of Dassault Systèmes. So we do believe the virtual world will improve and extend the real world. So to achieve a more sustainable future is possible by leveraging the virtual world. In real life, there's no rehearsal, but in virtual world, you can simulate and evaluate the impact of your product before you position it. So the virtual world will help you think differently. So in Dassault, actually, we advocate virtual twin more than digital twin. So we have a 3D experiment platform to support the virtual twin. So there are 4 core technologies to differentiate between virtual twin and the digital twin. The first is digital continuity. So nowadays, in companies, you will have many IT solutions for different disciplines. For example, you have PM solution to handle your project, bone and CAD data. You have SPDM to manage your simulation and testing. You have CAPP to manage your manufacturing process. And then you might have another solution to handle your sales and marketing. So Dassault, we engineer all our applications on the same platform. So we share the same data, so we link all the process. So it means you don't need to export or import the different data format between different IT solutions. So you don't need a bridge to integrate different IT silos. So the second is data-driven. Traditionally, you have different files. You have the Word, Excel, you have the CAD, you have the CAE data, you have manufacturing data, and all your knowledge and content are still in file. So in able to access the knowledge, you needed that application to open the file. So on the platform, we use metadata and data stream and system model. So it could be easily for you to share and link and analyze and help you make a decision quickly. So the third is model-based. So we use 3D data as our backbone. So from design, simulation, manufacturing, you can use the 3D data to go through your life cycle. So you don't need to rely on 2D drawing. Everything is based on 3D. And the fourth one is virtual and reality. So through our simulation technology, actually you can simulate your product behavior and performance with multi-physics and multi-scale. And then during the process, anytime, you can wear your AR, VR to experience your product performance. So in our 3D experience platform, they are just apps. So you have apps for you to manage your project, for you to manage your bond, for you to have a social design. It's like your internal Facebook, but you are sharing with your design idea with your colleague. You have 3D modeling app, so you can design from material to a product, to a car, to a city. You can just make your 3D model. And then on the same platform, you could have your simulation and the manufacturing app. So you can work on your 3D data and continue to perform your multi-field simulation, like structure, fluid, electromagnetic simulation. And then you can have your process planning for your digital plan. And then on the same platform, we have information intelligence app. So you can analyze and help you make a decision quickly. So among them, as long as they are 3D, you can just put on your the AR, VR device instantly and experience your product with your team and even with your customer. So what is a virtual twin? A virtual twin is not just a 3D representation of your product. It could include the control system, firmware, software, everything necessary needed to make your product work. When your design is complete, product is produced, so then you can connect your complete the virtual twin to your physical product. So in reverse, you can collect your data from your physical system and then analyze optimize, improve your production. So in the reverse, it's possible for you to drive your physical system from your virtual twin. So it's a two-way communication between the physical product and the virtual twin. During your design process, maybe some of your subsystem prototyping is ready. For example, your steering wheel is ready. You just put on your ECU, your control unit, and then you can connect it to your virtual twin. So your hardware can link with your digital twin and send a signal to your the virtual twin to have a simulation. So you see, you have the complete definition of your virtual car. So you are able to validate the simulate all the innovation design. For example, with this electrical vehicle, you might have a new design to turn your car around at a point. So you can validate all the control system and mechanism if you can work as your design. So it's a virtual twin, so you can analyze all the performance of all your component, any component. You don't need to put a physical sensor on a real car. So you can simulate all the driving condition. For example, you will have a exciting innovation for you to able to have a street parking just by side drive your car into the parking lot. So you want to make sure it's work. You want to make sure it works with your hardware, software, everything. So this is a virtual twin of a system. So how to work with VR, AR? First, we can use the VR for design. So they start sketching their idea with VR, with immersive experience. Or even you can work with existing 3D model, and then you can explore more of your design idea and option. So, and then you could improve your product. So with VR, you can sketch, and you can even sketch on your 3D model. It looks like you are sketching on your clay model. So you just based on your existing service, and then just sketch it, and then you could got your new idea. So this is we are provide the VR to explore your digital virtual twin. So you can also use the VR to modify your design instantly inside your virtual twin. Okay, so then we move to the detailed design. So there are many design activities. You design your mechanism and your metal part, composite part, and anytime you want to review it, you just put on your VR device. You don't need it to export your 3D data to the VR animation software. In there, you need to redefine everything. You just on the same platform, just click on an app. So now you can review your product in rendering or in your mechanical design view. You can explore your portfolio with different combination, with different idea, and discuss. So if you have some new idea, you can just take off your the VR and then modify in your system and then come back to review. So the VR device is used for daily design and daily work. Even you can work with your customer to propose your solution. So for the Metaverse, you needed a human. So in our budget train, the human should be more precise. It's not a gaming on the character. Actually, it's economic on engineering. So you can define your gender, age, your body shape. There are hundreds of parameters to make you to set the dimension at as the same as your body. When the setup is ready, and then you are ready to go into the virtual world of your product. So you just wear the VR with a controller, with checker. So you go into your virtual design, and then you can review it, and then make sure the designs meet your the mission. So what about the management? If I can manage something with 3D, yes. When you are have project management, issue management, actually, as long as there's a 3D there, you can work with 3D. For example, now you want to initiate a new issue, so you can define where is the issue located. Like a Google Map, now you navigate your 3D product. So and in the same 3D, you same environment, you should define to describe your issue, and then you assign your colleague to perform this task and define when it will be done, and you can check the status anytime, what has been done, what is pending, what is needed to follow. So this is the way we manage your product in our 3D experience platform. So let's talk about simulation. Can you tell which one is really physical car crash testing and which one is simulated by simulation? Okay, so in Dassault, we are combine our technology of simulation and realistic rendering. So why this is the traditional way? You have a mesh model and you simulate your product. So we provide a better view to review your result. You can review more information than you have a high-speed camera with a physical test. So you can easily remove the skin part, sheet metal part, and take a look at the structure you want to investigate. And you could, with realistic rendering, to understand how your the structure been deformed. You can be in any point of view to understand your design after a crash. So in the design phase, car company needed to have a internal test. So you need the physical markup. You know, it's costly and time-consuming. And internal test has a limited space. So it could only show the performance, not potential. So we can, our fluid simulation solution can simulate your car running on an open road with traffic turbulence. So it could create more effects which cannot be seen in wind tunnel. So you cannot make a right decision of your design if you cannot see the right effect. So with full simulation with real world condition, we can review the more problem and help you to make a better decision within the virtual world. Okay, so then how to work with VR? If you got the result, and then you can put on your VR instantly, and in the virtual world, you can put a different model in the same space, and then you can use VR to review the result, no matter it's a fluid simulation or structure simulation. So you can feel how the wind flows through your product, and then help you to understand how to improve your product. So so it help you instant response for you to go to the next investigation. Okay, then let's now talk about manufacturing. So on the same platform, you just click on your manufacturing app. You don't need to install another solution. So you can start offline programming and simulation on the virtual world. And then before you put your program to the real production line, actually you could connect the whole system with your PLC I/O signal and have virtual commission to virtually make sure all the device and the machine could work as your design. So when you validate all the manufacturing process perfectly, and then your virtual twin could be connected again to your real production line, and at the time you could use your the virtual world to monitor the operation at your production line, physical line. Okay. So let's talk about more about we have the process planning on our assembly line. So now you can put the human here. You could simulate all the operation assembly process in each station, what the tool they need, what the material they need, how to operate, and the line balance. Which station is not good enough is over the cycle time, and then you need to rearrange them to another station. And then you have ergonomic simulation of human. How could that operate the assembly process properly, safely? So all this is simulation done in the virtual world and can improve and make you ramp up sooner in your production. So after you define your process, now you need to have material flow simulation to make sure the throughput is as you want. So in the production line, you could have a human, robot, and any automatic machine. Then you could check on the utilization rate of each device and the total throughput and where is the bottleneck, and then improve it. And so after you have the design anytime, you can use VR to view the operation on your production line. So you might have several proposals. You send it to your review team or even communicate with your customer. And then you could make a better communication and make a right decision of your plan of your manufacturing. Okay, and then I want to show you a testimony of Honda North America. They talk about their digital twin of manufacturing.
Our vision is to realize the full potential of the virtual methods to simulate the Gemba. Now, the Gemba is a word we use inside of Honda that means reality or at the spot. We want the simulation, the virtual world, to look exactly like our manufacturing situation for what we're doing. Now, we have a strategy from the model to the layout program all the way up to simulation. This is what we want to accomplish. Again, to keep it in the context of the plant. What you see in the bottom center area is the virtual build context. That's what I showed you before. That's where we are. The images going up and to the right are what we've created and are continuing to enhance. So we had to start with building the plant. As I mentioned, we only had 2D data. We don't have any 3D data history where we can rely on. So we had to build the basic foundation of the plant, to model that with a great precision. Beyond that, now we have to do conveyor simulation. This is really critical for us to understand how the product moves through the plant in its various build-up states. So we work very closely with Dassault in order to understand how to model it, how to program it so that we can get the logic to work correctly as well. This is the actual instrument panel line, and now connect that to the modeling. This is where we're really focusing to improve the accuracy and make sure that it matches reality. So we've got the kinematics of the modeling in there for the fixturing that the associates have to move up and down to do the assembly work. We've got the conveyance systems. You can look at the local areas, and then finally at the entire work area in context, and you can see all the logistics containers around that where we can expand that further into the future. Now going to the main line, we're able to simulate what is it going to look like, and this is great. As much as Honda likes to move models from plant to plant, it's really an easy way for us to verify, can we put this model in that plant? It's reflecting the actual manufacturing plant condition. This was critical in what we wanted to accomplish. And of course, we're laying the groundwork as we continue to enhance and develop this area for future activities. You can imagine the logistics and the carts running around inside the plant to simulate that and find the optimum delivery routes, for example. So in summary, we've accomplished a lot, but specifically realize the full potential of the virtual methods to simulate the Gemba. We've got to understand that actual situation. And Dassault Systèmes, Honda's achieving our simulate the Gemba vision using the 3DX tools. Thank you for your time and attention.
So if you don't have so many videos like Honda, and you don't have 3D plan, how do you do? Actually, it's an easier way for you to build your virtual plane quickly. We could support the 3D scan data. You just scan your existing plane, and you got the point cloud. So then you just import it into our platform, and then you could start to have your journey of digital twin. So you can just split on the point cloud as product, and then link to on the IoT of your plan. So you can use it for facility management or your IoT dashboard, and to quickly have a virtual plan. So, and then this first step. Now you want to improve your production line with the new facility area section by section. So now you have a virtual plane there, so you can simulate to put on your new equipment, your new robot, put on your process, and put on your material, and then simulate on the way of production, then before you really move to the production. So you may have different idea, you may have different way of the production line. So through our manufacturing app, you can quickly design, validate your manufacturing process before you move into your production. So as long as your 3D plan is ready, it's not just for the process planning, you can connect it to your MES system or MOM system. In Dassault, we have appraisal. And then you can link with the information in your shop floor. So for example, they are red light, you can remotely know, okay, in the station, they have a shortage of material. So you need to send someone to deliver the right the material properly. So this the budget train can extend to connect with your the shop floor operation. So let's talk about the certification. You know, we are talking about autonomous driving. Do you have any idea how many kilometers of tests is necessary to make sure safety of the autonomous driving? It's 18 billion kilometers. So it means you need a lot of prototyping. You need a lot of people. It's truly time-consuming and very, very costly. So with our budget train of our testing environment, actually you can connect the environment with your driver simulator, with your digital twin of your product, and then simulate. You can set up the environment, the different road condition, different weather, is raining, like today, or is snowing. If there are suddenly some passenger across the road, there are some incident with animal. Anyway, you can set up on many different the road condition and simulate simultaneously, which will reduce a lot of your physical testing. Even physical testing is necessary. Okay, so then you are moved into the sell your product. So with VR, you don't need to set up a huge car showroom to put all the portfolio of your car for your customer to make decision. Actually, you just put on VR for them to explore different features and then make a decision soon. So we work with our customer Airbus in 1920 to have a 5 years project to define digital design, manufacturing, and service. So we could also work with Airbus. So we will build up a digital twin of production system, digital twin of system industrialization and the service. And then last point I want to talk about a little about the digital twin of human. So Dassault in 2014, we worked with researcher, industry, clinic, and regulator FDA. We signed 5 years to develop the worldwide first medical label on human heart model. This model includes structural and electrical stimuli on the fluid simulation. And scientists are able to invest on the first time how their medical device will be implanted into a living heart, and how it will work in the 3D. It reveals more detail than animal and the human tests. So this project is quite successful. So in 2019, we signed another 5-year project to continue improve the digital twin for human. We start to build the model for brain, for other body parts. So yeah, as long as you have 3D, you can just wear VR to explore your human body with details. So Dassault Systèmes, starting from a 3D software, we provide a digital twin of product design, and now we extend to this twin of human to help us make a more sustainable world. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Mr. Xu, for the informative speech. Please return back to your seats. Our next speaker is Mr. Johan Asplund, CTO of Nokia Taiwan, and he will talk about the digital technology's sustainable future. With almost 30 years of telecom experience from 1G to 5G, Johan keeps a deep curiosity on what the future will bring to the telecom industry. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Johan Asplund.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. So my name is Johan Asplund. I'm the CTO of Nokia Taiwan, and also Greater China International Business Group. So today, I would like to talk a bit digital technology sustainable future. So as we've seen a lot of very good speeches here before, I will see how we can link into this one and so on. But let's start with a short little video. Okay, this was from our Know Now campaign, where we are talking, where we have an issue about Metaverse and what will happen and how it will change the future in this decade. Because when we talk about this, we're talking about what is happening in the 2020 decade. So this is all the way 2030. We talk about fixed broadband, mobile broadband, but of course, we see a lot of things happening on the move. So this means why we see the 5G Advanced, 6G, and all these things to be able to handle all this kind of new requirements coming in. Yeah. So this is about the evolution of interactions. And it's about the road to immersive XR experience. So when we talk about this, when we talk about Metaverse, which also, of course also includes human augmentation, digital physical fusion, and so on. Yeah. Then we talk about XR, which is the technology, the fundamental technology for actually handling all this metaverse. How can we bring the metaverse everywhere and so on, yeah? And the requirements, what is happening in 3GPP, etc., and so on, yeah. Splitting the chip is also about how do we need to change the network, how do we need to change the devices to be able to bring this kind of cloud evolution, cloud rendering and cloud processing in a more sustainable way than utilizing everything inside the device. Yeah. Like HTC was talking about earlier, about how to do the split rendering and so on. Yeah. Also include a bit about IR4 and digital twins. One of the reasons for this one is very clear that we see a lot of these things are happening first in the enterprises, especially in manufacturing, because you see a lot of benefits that come up from the predictive maintenance and so on this part. Yeah. So the drivers and emerging trends. If you would do a Venn diagram over the human augmentation and digital physical fusion, there will be quite a lot of overlapping. The human augmentation means that what you're going to do, you want to show yourself in a different view and with different aspects than what you usually do. Yeah. Like the first example of this is, of course, clothing. Today I'm wearing a business suit because I'm here at COMPUTEX. Saturday, hopefully weather is better, wearing shorts and t-shirts, etc. So I'm using different kind of clothes for showing off a different part of myself, different view of myself. Of course, this is a COMPUTEX, so what we're talking here is about digital and networked human augmentation. This will, of course, require a lot of new interfaces, a lot of new sensors, because we see, of course, that all the XR interfaces have to be added inside it. We're going to have all this, of course, motion, voice, sound, interaction, all these kinds of interfaces to be able to handle and getting the feedback that we need for this one and so on. Yeah. The other part is the digital physical fusion, which is part of the digital twin that we just saw here earlier. Yeah. So digital twin is already happening today in the manufacturing industry. Like if you look at GE doing airplane engines, what we're going to see over the coming years, as was already presented by Deloitte before, Dassault, sorry, was this that we're going to see this one spreading out. You start with an engine, you go to the full airplane, for example, you go to the airport, you go to everything, and you can make a bigger view of this digital twin to give you more. We also talk about the fusion of sensors. That means that not only what you can see, also sound, movement, trying to find out what is going to happen with this engine, for example. How can you predict it already before? So this is the predictive maintenance and so on. So when we look at 2030, 2025, 2030, what do we actually see in the communication? What is going to happen? Of course, if you look at the top left corner, it's about augment our intelligence. Today, when we have a question about something or we want more information, we use tools like Google and we search the internet for information. What we see is happening is, of course, that with more AI and machine learning and so on, we don't expect just to get information from the network. We also expect to get intelligence from the network. So this is about, for example, in-body monitoring and so on. Yeah, because, of course, if you look at the biodigital sensor, you can do it based on implant or skin touch. Of course, skin touch will actually be probably more feasible for in the beginning, because I think people will have a bit of a resistance on doing too much implant into themselves. Yeah. But this is, of course, coming a lot from the medical industry in the beginning, and it's going to continue growing. The other thing we're talking about here in the middle is to create new digital worlds. Anyone knows Star Trek? In Star Trek, they have this holodeck where you could go in, you can get a full world experience and so on. That technology does not exist today, but we can do maybe smaller parts today, and we can expand it a little bit in the future. So this is how actually we can get the telepresence, high-resolution mapping, and getting all these kinds where you can actually touch, feel, hepatic internet, and so on, to be able to get this kind of where you can actually see and touch and you can actually get a sense of what you're doing. Automations, of course, is a lot about, for example, like enterprises, manufacturing, but also at home. We're going to see a lot of home care robots in the future, because the human population will not, you cannot continue having with them older and older people, more and more old people. The pyramid of age is getting worse and worse in all industrial countries nowadays. Yeah. So we're going to see a lot more robots. And this is one of the things that these robots can never be, if you put all the intelligence into the robot and handling all this kind of information, it will be too expensive. So what it have to be done is that a lot of this information have to come from the cloud. That means we need a very, very good network connectivity to be able to have connect to one edge cloud that are serving multiple robots and so on. So what is the fundamental then when we talk about metaverse? When we talk about extended reality, like what we see all in 3D PP and other areas and so on. Yeah. Extended reality is then a mixture of the underlying augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality and so on. Yeah. And one of the key points is the viewpoint dependent streaming. Because the reason for this one on the right side here, what you can see is that you cannot, for bandwidth requirement, for processing power and so on, you cannot give the highest quality everywhere. If you're focusing on one area, when you're looking at one area, you have to get the highest quality there and you get lower quality around it. Because if you do the 360 and you have full quality everywhere, the requirement will be too high and so on. And this is especially where low latency comes in. Because one of the fastest muscles in your body is the eye, when it's actually doing the refocusing between looking at something close and then focusing on something far away. That one is like 7 milliseconds. So this means that for any kind of latency you have, end-to-end, including application, everything, it have to be extremely low, otherwise you get a seasickness. So when we talk about virtual reality, cloud gaming, augmented reality, mixed reality, and so on, actually the technology in a way is very much the same underlying technology, but the experience is very different. Yeah. We are getting all this information, looking and so on. Yeah. Cloud gaming, where actually you have interacting, you're doing your multiplayer, you have a lot more processing happening and so on. And then of course, when we talk about immerse, AR and MR, augmented reality and mixed reality, where it actually superimposes the contents over the real scene. This means that everything had to be very, very accurate all the time, very, very low latency to handle this one. So we see it will impact all aspects of life, yeah. Of course, as I said before, industrial and manufacturing will be quite early on this one because they can see that they can actually save a lot of money on this one, and because of the predictive maintenance and so on. Yeah. But of course, we also see like smart cities, where we're talking about the spatial internet, where you can see, touch, you can get things, information, what you need from that one. And of course, gaming, like Minecraft, etc., where you can actually interact really with all the different kind of worlds and so on, yeah, with your own kind of avatar, with your own kind of IDs and so on. Yeah. So where are we then when it comes to metaverse? As some prior speaker here was speaking about, yeah, it's a long journey. It's something we see, yeah. Because to be able to do metaverse for a mass market, to do it for some users in some areas is quite, the connectivity is already available. For example, like GPON, 10G, 25G, 100G PON, everything like this and so on. Yeah. But if you want to have the metaverse on the move, on the go, you want to have it for a multitude of users. You don't want it to just having 10 users in one area. You want to have it a lot of them and so on. Yeah. So SP, one of the analytics company, SP was talking now about XR is going to have, in 2030, they anticipate 1 billion subscriptions. 1 billion subscriptions in 2030. And that is, of course, going to be You need a very, very good connectivity layer for that one. Because when we talk about this long journey, we talk about video, for example. Video has been around for a very long time when we talk also about mobile. Already in 3G, you could do video. But of course, it's coming more and more advanced, more higher quality, more interactive, and so on. Yeah. So with 5G Advanced, which is actually going to be released in standardization in 2024, we see the XR is one big part of it. Yeah. XR comes actually in 3D PPR 17 as the first part, but we see it maturing more in release 18, which is 5G Advanced and so on. And in 6G, of course, moving from video to XR to holographics to actually be able to get even more 3D images on this one and so on. We talk about digital twins. Today already, as we are working with customer in manufacturing in Europe, for example, in Germany, a digital twin of one engine is okay, what is also prior presentations. But with 5G Advanced, we can do it more on a larger scale. With 6G, you can also do even cities and even humans, real-time synchronization as updates. So everything will evolve over the time and so on. Yeah. And to be able to do this one over a mobile broadband then will create a very big opportunity, because when the manufacturing is changing their layouts, redeploying their machinery, changing how they're actually planning to do things, they don't have to redo all the wires. The connectivity is there all the time without interruptions and so on. And localization and sensing, of course, we're talking about better timing. Actually, the timing becomes even better than GPS, so actually it's complement GNSS and so on. And in 6G, network with the sixth sense. This means actually that the network actually will provide more information than ever before. Yeah. 6G, of course, is quite far away. It's 2030. So when we talk about when we talk about number of users coming in, subscriptions for XR, it's going to be mainly based on 5G Advanced and some 5G SA. So one of the points then is, of course, that to be able to do this one, we have one challenge. It is about multiple devices and multiple sources with multiple destinations. All of these things have to be handled very, very good by the whole ecosystem. So we are talking everything from devices that have to be smaller form factor, battery life, and all these kinds of things. Yeah. Transcoding, use of compressing algorithms, all these kinds of things to be able to handle the efficiency of this one. Network, 5G standalone can do a lot. But of course, when we talk about 5G Advanced, when we talk about even doing further power savings, doing even better QoS, everything like this, and also doing the split rendering placement and all these kinds of things, that is where we see the network is evolving. And of course, content services. We are talking a lot about 3D mappings, XR APIs, all these kinds of things, because no ecosystem will be locked. Yeah. Everything had to be open on the different parts. Split the chip, split rendering. This is something that was already mentioned by HTC. And this is something which is very important, not only for network connectivity. This is also very important for, if you're going to address so many subscribers, so many users, we need to reduce the cost of the devices. And one of the things that drives the cost is, of course, the processor, also battery life, and so on. And this is also by moving a lot of the intelligence, rendering, and etc. to the network, to the cloud, we can reduce the cost of the end devices and also reduce the power consumption. Because if you're looking about so many devices that are doing very advanced processing, we're going to see a not really sustainable world. We need to reduce the power consumption to be able to do this one in a good way. So this will change the way that they're doing. So this is actually from 3D PPR 18, but it's Nokia view on it, so it's not 100% standardized yet. But what we need to do is to actually, of course, optimize the whole network for XR. To be able to handle XR, we need to have an optimized high-performance, critical performance network. That means that everything have to be able to handle in a very, very efficient way. Because when we remove the processing to the cloud, we cannot lose frames. We cannot have too long latency. We need to be able to give the service level which is there and so on, which is needed. So this includes end-to-end XR slicing, and it includes very, very clear here, but we need to put in the spatial computing server, the enablers for all these things with the media processing, rendering, positioning, and mapping, and so on, so we can put the servers on top of this one. And this one had to be, of course, for some use cases, it might not need extreme low latency. Then you can put it in the central cloud in the big cities. But when you need this one very, very low latency and so on, it has to come to the edge cloud. So then we talk a bit about the future. We talk a bit what will happen in the coming decade and so on. So let me bring you back to what are we actually doing today. When Nokia, we are working with our enterprise customers worldwide, and that is, of course, where digital twin and all these things are coming up already now. Yeah. Because in this manufacturing, we see a lot of, everything is about operational efficiency. It's about how can they make it in a more efficient way to be able to reduce their cost, increase the quality, increase the security, all these kinds of things, yeah. Supply chain, overall equipment effectiveness, and so on. Yeah. So this is something, it was already mentioned, but this is the private wireless for digital twin. So one of the things we are working with some of our customers in Germany is about actually to not only look at the digital twin for one engine or one specific ones. We are looking about how can you make the digital twin based on the whole end-to-end manufacturing in a more flexible way. Because if doing this one over wireless, 5G advanced, everything like this, you don't have to redo the work when it's coming to actually changing the layout and so on. Yeah. You will have the clear things about, and you can check with this digital twin, you can look about where are the workers, where are the robots, where are the assembly lines, and so on. Yeah. So like we have, for example, the Oulu factory. Nokia have an own factory in Oulu, Finland, where we're doing a lot of this kind of checking. How can we bring our technology, how can we do this one as a showcase manufacturing to actually show it and actually utilize it for other factories around the world. So this is something where actually we are working a lot with partners around the world, yeah, because one of the things, of course, Nokia, we are expert in the wireless communication, the fixed communication and so on, and we're working a lot with partners to bring these kinds of things to manufacturing. So like video analytics, mixed reality, and so on, automated mobile robots is where we're working with partners and so on. So this is also one of the things we are looking for is, of course, more partners in Taiwan and so on. Because one of the things here when we talk about this one, what is the enterprise needs for this one, is a lot about from any device to the video network. So it's about how can they make it more efficiently, including the XR augmentation and digital twins in the network without having to set on one model and keep that one the whole time. So this is one very important research project we are working together in Germany. This actually started in 2020. So this one works where we're using the Nokia 5G compared with all these partners. Fraunhofer, of course, Industry Centrum, Smart Labs Mobile is one of our partners here to actually do the digital twin. If you look in the lower right corner, how to actually to do the XR, actually to be able to check and see how do they do the manufacturing before they actually decide to do it and so on. Yeah. So this is based on the Nokia 5G standalone private wireless network. So we're using the unlicensed band on this one. So one of the things with this research project is that they want to help the German industry to become even more effective. So this is very much about how to continue making it more efficiently inside the manufacturing industry in Germany. As you know, Germany is very, very one of the biggest manufacturing companies in the world. Another partner, Tactile, that we're working with is very much about the maintenance, about XR, utilizing this one for machine operator training, for example, how to do service management, all these kinds of things to be able to make it more efficient. The key point here is that when you send a person out on site, you don't have so many experts. you cannot send an expert to everywhere. So to have someone that can help it, can train it, can do it with assistance and so on, will really make the efficiency of the maintenance much better. So as a summary today, so Metaverse and XR. So this journey will during this decade, will really dramatically change our ways of living and interaction and so on. Yeah. Not only through enterprise, but through gaming, through social media, how do we interact with other parts and so on. So the Metaverse, XR, human augmentation, all these kinds of things, digital physical fusion, it starts a bit fuzzy before we go the whole way to fusion. But this is really, it's going to really depend on a very highly efficient network connectivity. And of course, we see industry are the key ones that are actually driving this part first. Yeah. They will actually push a lot on how to make this one happening before they are moving. We are getting all this more consumer-wise digital twin and other services and so on coming on. Yeah. So thank you very much. This was my presentation, and I hope you have a good day and good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan, for the outstanding presentation. Please kindly return back to your seat. Once again, thanks to all our distinguished speakers for their insights. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us today on 2022 COMPUTEX Forum. Don't forget to visit COMPUTEX Taipei exhibition at the 4th floor. Tomorrow will be the last chance for you to explore the latest products.